The reflection in the mirror in the dark with the camera light on is, well, criminally insane of the creation of myself. I am the Lord, and it's not due to look in the mirror and see a reflection of myself that looks like a corpse. I am eating with hunger every day, so it's true that I don't have even formed of this body without the food of the world to sustain myself. What am I going to do with everything that I loved about myself in my lifetime? I didn't love myself in the public, did not love myself in the public with the ending that they are supposed to regret that they were ever there. That interferes with the alive was speaking something or another about the order, such as when I was a tennis player and everybody had tennis rackets and uniforms and all the courts were normal. Yes, but nobody died in my favor. I died alone right here. That's how I can say nobody. It's really just me right here. I guess God did things for people to know that they are not myself and that they don't own anything and that they're homeless with their genitals. But I have seen them go very deep in involvement with the property in dispute and they're being on the inside of illegal KeyFit. They are not really supposed to be able to get in. The most extreme example of who should not have been able to get in a KeyFit is Joel and Myroff, who walked into an open front door. It was unlocked, is what I mean. She opened it without using a key to open the door. And she went in there and stayed in there, and she had a bed in there, and she could be there. And I went there the same as she did, and I'll have a bed in there, and I can't be there. To just get that problem. That's very far in the wrong. And it was so far in the wrong that when she was 23 years old, she went away from the whole state of Wisconsin. And reports from somebody in the house was that she was in state of Oregon. And I don't know if Bev Myroff went all the way to Oregon to see if Jolyn was there. She should, because I don't trust her. I don't trust either one of them. They have to work out those issues with why they have cohabitations at all with the same last name, Myroff. And anybody with the same last name. Why do you have the same last name as somebody else? Don't you want to work that out? That's how you have to know. Your genitals are outside homeless, but if you know what your name is, you have something of a debt there, that you have a name. You don't have to use it, but you know that you have it. You're named if you're not myself. But you could be knowing about your name would be you in the wrong there. So where did all the happy go? Happy time is what David Spade said in the movie Tommy Boy. Did I interrupt? Happy time is what David Spade said in his character. Happy is for myself, and the people in this world have too much happy. I have some happy, but not really much because you are all very happy, and you have happy that I would have, And you have happy that I wouldn't really go through the time of the happy. I wouldn't need it, but it would be mine just resting. Charles Toe has a deficiency in happy. He didn't know how to be happy by being someplace else, and I would never know this time with him. He's not happy with where I met himself. I understand. That's a gibberish problem. Gibberish is when you try to speak to somebody who's not yourself and you don't have a language in common. Gibberish might have some words exchanged that you would understand, but mostly it's just you don't have a language in common. It's gibberish. And I really think that meeting Charles Toe was gibberish, and I didn't think that was a problem to acknowledge it's gibberish. I think Americans don't really speak proper English, and that was acknowledged being in that place where I met Charles Toe. The gibberish they were singing there was Indian languages or Indian names for God, like in their Indian languages, something like Krishna, Rama, Saraswati would be feminine. Uh, and they were singing all different names and some brief descriptions of what they are. And then there were pictures. You can see pictures of Hinduism and Indian practices. I'm not Indian, but it was just having to do with that I'm farther along in age than if I just knew about my own body. That has to do with me having been in public for a long time. And I don't have that everybody is white in public. There are Indians and there are others, Black people, Hispanic people, and more. Well, you spent my happy on yourselves, and I am looking at something on the internet in my mind. It's where the person is appears first as being what you would call aged, but it's not really a presentable senior citizen. It is deformed. And then it plays a screeching violin song while it's backing up the aging to identify who is the subject that was aged. There's one that is Ariana Grande, one that was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and one that was Oprah Winfrey. You see how you're more interested in those people than you are in myself. You want to know if I have anything to say that you would know anything about. Because you don't know me. Why don't you know me instead of knowing those three names that I just mentioned? Because they're a disaster on the internet at this time. I can see it, but I would rather not because I should be having happy time with myself. And instead, I have to work. That I still have a stranger in my inside of the door locking here that is preventing me from that I would not be in door locking anymore myself. And I'm working something off the internet to have some presence of mind here so that I don't uh, have any food missing for that there's somebody here who's not myself. He's just one person and I have to eat just because he's here. And then the public is immeasurable amounts of something like 40 billion illegal alive human being shunts who don't believe in the soul. And some of them know me, a handful of them know me, and the rest of them don't know me. One of God's handfuls. I'm God, but my hands are illegal. What I mean is, it would be like whoever I could see close to myself is only a small number of the 40 billion people, shunts, illegal lives who don't believe in myself because they don't know me. And then there's some that do know me that believe in me when I'm there and they don't believe me when I'm not there, which means they're always talking about how they're leaving. myself, and you're not God to leave me. I'm God that would leave you. You don't know not to do that to me. It's not testing you. You are something like being created, and it's who you are and where you are. And you're not really doing that with yourself because of public. You know that you don't allow yourselves near myself. That's God who's doing that. But you are going back into the public with having thieved myself is never paid for. You thieve myself with that you look at me. You thieve myself with that you call my name or you talk to me. I don't really have a name. I'm God. I don't have a name, but I use the name Becky. And that's because I was named by my overlord. The creation of myself named myself, and I heard it elsewhere. I didn't say it myself to name myself to the strangers who were threatening my house and everyone else who found out about it. So, where is this record going to go? Well, where do you go to find out that you stole my happy? Don't you want to know whose happy it is? Don't you want to know whose money it is? Did you have sun and fun, sin and spin on my time when I'm paying all the extortion? You can't afford yourselves. You can't be happy because you have a lot of time on your hand because you don't know how to die. The happy isn't there to fill the time for you to be comfortable and happy until I die. You don't have that paid for. You're not myself. If I end the time and you didn't die before the end of time, you didn't do what you were supposed to do with yourself, for yourself. And that's everybody. I can see that you don't die on any point. You don't know who this soul is, and you don't die because you're homeless if you're not myself. You are so angry with me. I can feel it now. You could be watching this video and you could say, you're not myself, is that I could just turn it off. Yeah. You're not supposed to do that to me. And would do that to you. That's how you don't know who this soul is, and you don't know that you don't know that you're homeless. You're homeless when you do that. Are you threatening me you're going to turn off this video before I'm done speaking? Because you're not supposed to be on the internet at all. Are you going to tell your God that you're sorry and turn it off in the middle? Well, why don't you wait and tell your God that you're sorry at the end? If you want to cut it off in the middle because you think that you're God and I'm not, that's how you don't know that you're homeless. You don't know you're not the soul. You don't know you're not myself. And you don't know that you're homeless. You're not supposed to threaten me with what you don't know. What I know is enough for me. What you don't know is irrelevant. God is deceased in all the pain you cause himself because you don't know your own genitals are homeless for the consumption of 45 years of alive of this world. Number 17. I want to see God when I die because I am in this body, God form, and I have a head, and I don't see all of God because I have a head. And I want to see God when I die, but I wonder, what do you want to see when you die? Because I have seen the way you have treated one another and treated myself in alive, and I don't know where you're going with that. If I see you when I die, I better see you from behind bars because you're dangerous. You didn't even saw that you are angry and you have fist fighting problems and you want to fall and hurt the body itself. You don't have that solved. You don't have solved that you deform the body, that you make it ill, that you make it collapse, that you have fights with the body. You don't have that solved. If I see you in the afterlife, you still do that. And I need you in cages like animals so that you don't touch me. This is how I went out of the door locking, so you don't threaten to touch me anymore. It's a speaking disaster for myself I'm doing right now on the internet. I'm talking about how you're threatening to touch myself, and I don't want to be touched. I've been sexually abused so far in the wrong, I was wondering if you know. I don't even want you to touch my personal space when I'm fully clothed in public in front of the strangers. So are you, all strangers to one another. How do you know who you're going to hurt? You don't afford to be around the strangers because you don't afford to live without them. You don't afford to live with them. You can't touch them. You can't tell them they're wrong. You can't tell them they're not God to you. You can't argue with them. You can't even be nice to them because you think you're God to them. What do I do in public? I try to negotiate with the strangers that I don't want to be touched. And that's what I talk about in the threatening. With who, what, when, where, why, and how. And that you would understand me fully and withdraw your objections to myself, and then I don't get touched. You know why I have sexual abuse on myself? Because it's asked directly to myself for cooperation with sexual abuse. I don't have another way that I have that problem. I've been forced molested, but that's because they want cooperation, and I don't give it. That's what you're asking for. I've been forced molested, and that is an ask for cooperation. That is absent. I just don't give it. I don't have that. I would. I don't know you that way. And why would you do that to me when I don't even want to be touched at all? It means you don't understand that I don't have a problem with touch, with my God. You think I have a problem with you. Why aren't you homeless outside with your genitals being illegal? You want to molest me in my genitals? How do you know my genitals are wrong with your own genitals? How can you have genitals and you molest somebody else in the genitals? You don't understand what a molester is. You don't know what a child molester is. You don't know what a sex offender is. Because you are one, because you have genitals? No. You have your own genitals, are homeless. They are due outside homeless on all the points. And you're not supposed to think about somebody else with genitals because they're threatening you. They are threatening you because you have genitals that are yours and you don't know how to be homeless. This is how you have to be homeless, and then they are maybe crossing paths with you. And how far along are they in the threatening with yourself? This really just you. You look a certain way. You have a prejudice. God's creating you for that. He wants to end your life. God wants to end your life, and you want to punish some stranger in the genitals with sexual abuse because you don't understand that God wants to end your life because he doesn't like you particularly. You have been punishing God for that he doesn't like you, and he escalates that he doesn't like you more and more as time goes on. Are you shunning? He doesn't like you so much, he doesn't want to look at you. If you ever shun and you come back into form, you owe that you go to the bank and you tell them that you resign and that you don't want your name in the banking anymore because you shunned yourself. If you never went to the bank and told them you were shunning, you are going to the bottom of hell all by yourself. I'm not going to help you with that. You don't bank that you're shunning on everybody else's time. Nobody wants to invest in that you don't know where you are because you're shunning. You owed that money to the bank that you died. And instead you came back to life and you didn't really die. You were shunning. And you're an illegal alive shunt after that. And you're a death that doesn't have a name after that, and you owe that you go to the bank and tell them you don't have a name anymore. Tell them what your name was. Oh, do you know what your name was? You have to tell them you know what your name was and that you don't know your name anymore. You went out of the banking, you go into total dementia. And it's due that you don't shun in those keys anymore. You can't shun in the bank the way you shun in the houses. You don't belong in there. You're threatening to break the window. You don't have enough potency to break a window, and you go inside the house and you go completely missing in front of a mirror. You don't belong in there. And you owe that you tell the bank where you were and that you don't belong there. You have to tell people in the bank that you're wrong. Donna Moser, you are not forgiven about your shunning problem. I want to call you Mom, but how? You're not Donna Y. Period. Yample Moser. You're not. When you're shunning, you're not. And you're so illegal, you won't tell anybody that you're shunning and that you're illegal and that you don't have money for Becky anymore and you're homeless and you need something like to withdraw from the banking and withdraw from credit, and you're not in my house anymore, and you turn in your keys. And you should have never ruined my life the way you did because you didn't know where you were because you were shunning. And who found out about it was Dr. Theodore Gertel. He knows that you're shunning, and he won't actually do anything to help me because you are not there. He doesn't know where you are. He doesn't know why you're not there. That is your fault that you didn't go to the bank and tell them that you were shunning. You should be like, if you really need to shun, you should tell the bank exactly why you're shunning, and they will stand there and not believe you. Everybody will not believe you. You don't speak English. You don't have any words ending in S-I-O-N or T-I-O-N. You don't have any words that are shunning. You don't even get in a car and drive because you can't shun a car like that it's moving forward. That's shunning. That it's a heavy car and it moves forward. That's shunning. But you're in a house and you're completely missing in the house, but your stuff is still in there. And you come back to life now and then, you want to eat out of the refrigerator. You need to go to the bank and tell them that you were shunning and you don't have any food and you don't have any time and you don't have a name and you don't have any keys. You should drop your keys in the bank's garbage can on your way out of being sorry that you did that to the people in the bank. You owe yourself in jail. You have to fight with the police to get in there. If you tell the police you were shunning, how are you going to get them to put you in the jail when they don't trust you because you were shunning? You have to fight with them. You have to tell them that you have to shun in the jail. How come nobody talks about shunning? You don't talk about shunning? You don't talk about you don't believe in the soul? You're a mess in society and you don't know what your problems are. I'm not ordering a mess in society. You don't know who this soul is? You don't stop spending my money. Oh, don't tell me it's not my money. Look at how you're still watching YouTube and you don't believe me. I don't say that about you. I believe what I hear, but that doesn't mean it's the truth ultimately. That means you're threatening to touch my body, and I don't want you to touch my God form ever. The song, Don't Stand So Close to Me. I don't know who sings that, but it's from the 1980s. Don't stand so close to me and I don't want to be touched. There are so many of you in public, you don't actually tell God that you don't want to be in public because you don't want to be touched, because there's too many people. Well, he'll help you with that. You belong in jail. There's fewer people in the jails. If you can die because you need to kill a jail, you need to go in the jail and kill the jail and put it off the map. You need to get out of the address. You need to be able to go in the jail and kill the jail has an address and that you end up someplace upstate. No address. Everybody wants to bank their name and an address and a KeyFit. You want cars, you want to drive high-speed traffic. And you don't know how to get from high-speed traffic to a jail and move the jail out of its address. You're not God that would do that. God would do that with itself. But you're the one who needs to make that God would need that for you.